Continuing on in our study of the book of Revelation. Now, by the time we get done with this lesson, it'll be a few weeks probably, as we do. But by the time we get done with this lesson, I've done a bit of research, and I'll have some photos to show you about some things that are taking place or have taken place right now that most of us wouldn't have a clue. We just look at it and go, oh, that's a nice building. You know, like the European Union when they built their headquarters building. Other than Pete, does anyone know the two buildings they based their architecture off of?
I've never looked up the buildings.
Other than Pete, because Pete knows. There's two buildings without history. One of them is somewhat, sort of kind of modern history, I guess you'd call it comparatively. The other one's from biblical history that they've built their building off of. And if you say, well, Pastor, I think you're going a bit extreme on this, I have photos that I'll show you, paintings, renderings of these said buildings and the modern building. And in case you further don't, want to, I have 3 pages worth of documented internet links that you can do the research yourself, and you can find it out yourself. But it's all there. By the way, anyone take a guess at the 2 buildings that it's built at? One, the outside is modeled after. One, the inside is modeled after.
I'd say the temple would be one.
No, which sort of temple-y type item?
I don't know. It's just a guess.
Temple-y sort of worshipy type thing. You're in the same genre, but nowhere near close. But you're closer than we were before. Is that a fair statement? Okay, fair statement. Tower of Babel. Yeah. The outside of the building is based off of an artist rendering of the Tower of Babel. The inside is based off of what semi-modern horrific building that's very famous in the world? No, many thousands, if not millions of Christians died in this place. Not the Holocaust. Go back further than that. There you go. There's the think Roman times. So the inside is modeled after the Roman Colosseum. The outside is modeled after the Tower of Babel. And I'll show you the photos about it and the artist renderings and all this type of thing. So, and then we're going to be looking at something this morning and the next couple of weeks that it's very interesting. We're getting to the point where we're looking at the woman that rides the beast, right? The scarlet beast, the woman that rides the beast. Has anyone ever seen an EU coin? No? Guess what is on the face of the coin? The woman that rides the beast, right? The woman that rides the beast is all on the coin. Yeah. And that woman that rides the beast is other religions call her the Queen of Heaven. She's not the Queen of Heaven. She is this person that we're about to learn about in biblical history. And also out in front of the European Union building, which is based on the Tower of Babel on the outside, the Roman Colosseum on the inside, and the statue on the outside is the woman who rides the beast. What are you saying? I'm saying there are no coincidences. That's what I'm saying. And we'll get to that in a moment. But you say, oh, I don't know. As we get there in the lesson, I'll show you photos. And if you want to, you can do the own Google searches yourself, and you can find the photos, and you can look at it, and it's all there. And by the way, if you look at the history of how they chose to build what they did, they openly will tell you, we built the outside based on the Tower of Babel painting here, and we built the inside based on the Roman Colosseum here, and we chose our slogan or phrase from this wording in the book of Revelation. And our symbol was chosen based on, they'll openly tell you, they don't hide it. It's not a secret. They're very, very open with it. And so I'm just saying that for a long time, a lot of biblical things are taking place and we don't even connect the dots sometimes. And the more I've researched this to teach it again, the book of Revelation, the more I've scratched my head and gone, wow. They may say there's no God, but they're fulfilling every one of God's prophecies, knowingly or unknowingly. All right? Anyways, Revelation chapter 17, we're going to be looking at this. It says, "And there came out one of the seven angels, which had seven vials, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth." And so we're going to be looking at that mystery of Babylon over the... We didn't do bowl judgment?
No, we didn't do the 7th one.
We didn't do the 7th one.
Because we ran out of time.
We ran out of time. Okay. My notes are here somewhere. All right, sorry. I jumped ahead. Apparently, we didn't do the 7th bowl judgment from last time. All right, verse 18 of chapter 16 is the 7th bowl judgment. Sorry. I didn't realize I hadn't finished. I thought I was done. I was excited. I was ready to jump into the next thing and take off running. Oh, well. Here we go. 7th bowl judgment, verses 17 to verse 21. So that 7th angel pours out the vial of plagues that will affect the air. If you look in verse 18, there's voices, there's lightnings, there's thunder. So like the 7th seal in chapter 8 and the 7th trumpet in chapter 11, the 7th bowl is introduced with a fierce thunderstorm, with voices, with thunders, with lightnings, followed by an earthquake. And so the 7th one is similar to other 7th ones. And then in verse 18, we see a great earthquake of chapter 16. And really, as that earthquake happens, it's almost as if at that point, the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. All right? It's the most powerful, most deadly earthquake to ever strike the earth. For the earthquake will literally shake the globe, will shake the whole earth. By the way, have you noticed, if you're not paying attention to the news, what seems to be increasing? Earthquakes, not just earthquakes. But if you do some research, the pressure around every fault in the earth is getting to pressure levels where they've never been before. Just do the research yourself. The pressure level at every fault on the earth's crust, not just select faults, every single fault on the earth's crust, the pressure level is getting too close to critical levels. Yeah, including the one that we're sitting on. But we won't go there, okay? We'll just kind of imagine it doesn't exist and kind of go on with life. People are looking at me like, there's a fault that goes through Brisbane? Sorry if I just shocked you, but yes, there's a fault that goes through Brisbane. Anyways, it's getting to those critical levels, and the Bible prophesies an earthquake that will shake the globe. What if the pressure was released at every single fault simultaneously? What would that result in? That would result in a global earthquake. Shock, right? Not really if you read your Bible, okay? And when that happens, we see the great city will be split in chapter 19. It will be split into 3 parts, causing great physical changes. But the Bible doesn't say that the city will be completely destroyed, just that it will be divided into 3 parts. All right? Although there's some debate whether the city is Jerusalem or Babylon, most, if you want to say biblical scholars, I don't like to use that term because I scratch my head and say, what makes you a biblical scholar? Just because you know a lot and study a lot doesn't mean you're a scholar, because most of the people they deem scholars don't even live out the Bible. They just know it academically. All right? Anyways, it's Jerusalem. Why? Because the city of Jerusalem is called the Great City multiple times in the book of Revelation. Revelation 11, verse 8, and verse 21, verse 10. Distinction is made between Jerusalem and the cities of nations, is why some do that. And there will be great physical changes to Jerusalem. That's prophesied in the book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verses 4 to 10. And Jerusalem is distinguished from Babylon in chapter 16, verse 20. Right? So they're distinguished in the book where it talks about, chapter where it talks about it, and all those things. And then Great Babylon, chapter 19, verse B, the fate of Babylon is much different than Jerusalem. Babylon will fall like other nations of the world. However, Babylon is a special object of God's wrath. Okay? Because of its wickedness, and Babylon will have led the whole world into what we could call spiritual adultery. It's not shocking the Bible uses that imagery, because what does it always say? That Israel went a whoring after other gods, they committed adultery. So it's a similar thing. And now, in these last times, Babylon will drink the wrath of God. All right? And will be violently destroyed from the face of the earth. So you reap what you sow. If it takes a long time to reap it, you still reap it. Okay? And then we see in chapter 16, verse 21, that there's huge hailstones. Not just hailstones.
How heavy is a talent? How heavy is a talent?
A talent of gold. I haven't looked it up, but it's fairly heavy. Let me look here. Let me see chapter 16, verse 20. Heaven, every stone weighed about a weight of a talent. I want to say it's a few kilos, but I don't have it with me off the top of my head. If someone want to look up how heavy a talent is, that'd be good. So they do that. And can you imagine that? And the seventh bowl judgment clearly demonstrates God's power and his sovereignty, all right? And so that we see the day of the Lord is quickly approaching, and there'll be no turning back when God's judgment comes. Okay, so that's your chapter 16 coming to an end. Now back to the regularly scheduled programming.
According to Wikipedia, it's about 60 kilos. So that's the Babylonian talent that ancient Israel also used, and that they used in New Testament times.
So a talent is about 60 kilos?
The Roman talent was
30 kilos, 60 pounds.
Roman talent was 30 kilos.
Okay. So, yeah. So when you're talking about that hail, you're talking about 30 kilo hailstones. That would do a little bit of damage, right? Yeah, it's not golf ball size. You know how in Brisbane we get hailstorms that ride off a lot of cars? You would be going, car? What car? Melissa's car would be gone. Like a 30 kilo would be on it, and there would be no Melissa's car. Hopefully Melissa's not in Melissa's car when the 30 kilo thing hits it, but there's, if you have a smaller car, it may not make it, Roof would not make it, a lot of things. Can you imagine multiple 30 kilo? You just don't want to be standing outside. But again, remember, a lot of these judgments that will be taking place in the time of Revelation will affect those who are not saved, not those who are saved during that time. Okay, you just think about that. During the plagues of Egypt, did they affect the Israelites? No. Did they affect the Egyptians? Most definitely. Okay? As long as the Israelites stayed in Goshen, they were protected. Here, in the end times, it's clearly delineated that, in some of these ones, it's clearly delineated that these are on the unredeemed, but not the redeemed. All right? So, I don't know if that means in the middle of a 30-kilo hailstorm, if those that are saved can just kind of go for a walk and it all goes. I don't know if I would mess with that, but just stay away. But remember, by the time these judgments happened, if you're saved and you don't have the mark, you're not openly out in public. You are hiding because your head is being hunted literally. You know the phrase, off with your head? That is literal in that time. All right? Literally, many, many Christians will be martyred on the gallows. Not the gallows, the chopping block. All right, so anyways, there we are. We've ended chapter 16. We've had a little bit of an introduction to chapter 17. Got your minds thinking about those types of things. And now we'll stop right there for sake of time, so that way we can spend some time in prayer. All right?